was a great intro. Man, tell
Heck yeah.
everybody what's going on in this world today, Mr. Brent.
Well, we're here to bring the real estate news, the latest news for Prescott, Arizona, the stats hot off the press. Thank you to the Prescott Area Association of Realtors for putting those together monthly and sharing those with the community. And I got today's guest, Travis Smart, smartest lender in town.
As a matter of fact,
Yep.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to go through everything. There's a lot of exciting things happening today.
So cool. Well, let's dive into it. You want to start with a little bit of stats and then we'll get into some news?
Absolutely.
So we are changing it up this time. If you've seen our show before in the past, typically I dive into a bunch of stats and you're probably falling asleep, by the 5-minute mark, but we're not doing that today. So just want to go over these real quick with you. This is from Prescott Area Association of Realtors. So we're talking about what houses actually sold for, the median sales price of homes that sold and closed escrow last month in October. Prescott, we were at 592,000, which is up 23% from last year. That's a huge bump from last year, where we were at. Prescott Valley, 454,000, which is up 3.8%. So what that's pretty much in line with inflation, maybe a little bit less.
Yep. Appreciating about an average rate for a normal market, 3%, 3 to 4% a year.
Yep. So again, not bad on that front. Chino Valley, 396,000, so actually down 2.6%. And then Dewey Humboldt, 355,000, which is down 11%. That's kind of interesting that they went down that much.
That is. I think a lot of folks have been buying more manufactured homes. I think in Dewey, at least that's been my experience recently. I've been doing a lot more single wides over there, which obviously then drives maybe the median sales price down a little bit.
Yeah.
But Dewey's a great area. I love it.
Yeah. So more sales in the lower end of the price spectrum for Dewey, driving that median price down. Homes sold. So this is the number of people that are actually out there buying houses. Last month in Prescott, we were at 127 homes sold, which is down 10% from last year. Prescott Valley, there were 88 new homeowners in Prescott Valley. Congratulations to you if you were a homeowner that just got your keys last month in Prescott Valley. We are down 12% year over year for the number of sales in PV. Chino, 30 new homeowners as of last month. That's up 15% year over year. So Chino's seeing more sales than last year for October. And Dewey Humboldt, 19 new homeowners, which is down 34% from last year.
Which actually makes a lot of sense when you think about the median price going down. Only 19 homes were sold, so it wasn't, as many.
Yep. And then new homes going on the market. Prescott last month, we saw 144 new homes listed, which is up 4.2% from last year, the number of homes that got listed. We are seeing inventory up across the board, for all 4 of the cities in our area. Prescott Valley, 112 new listings hit the market last month, so just up 0.7% from last year. Chino Valley, 32 new listings last month, down 3% from last year. And Dewey Humboldt at 42 new listings last month, which is up 50% from last year. So that's a huge jump. So now we've gone over the stats. Let's see how that compares to the national headlines. Travis has some stuff he wants to talk about. So we're going to kind of dive into that first and the news around the mortgage world. You can debuff some of the, scare tactics of major media out there.
We love them.
Yep. I don't, but yep. So let's dive into that right now. So housing market was already painful, ugly, and anxious. This is fear. They're just throwing fear out there, right? Clickbait. Now the 8% mortgage rate is back. 8%, Travis? Is that where we're at today?
It lasted for maybe 2 days, and then it was back down in the 7s. But they don't talk about that at all, do they? I actually had a client call me last week, and he was like, hey, I'm really concerned because he's under contract on new build. He's like, I'm seeing that there's interest rates in the 8s on the news, and I've been seeing that all week. Where are you at right now? And I was like, well, rates have actually improved all week last week. And we went into the different rates. He was actually looking at closer to 7%. He was relieved. But the news's job is just to derive an emotion. And the easiest one, as I've said before, negative. Painful, ugly, anxious. Very triggering words.
That's why they use them.
Absolutely.
So obviously we don't have a crystal ball. You don't have one. I don't have one. Rates, so being not at 8% today,
Mhm.
obviously they've come down from that point. Do you foresee them to keep coming down some? Or do you think they're going to level off? Do you think we're going to go back up to 8? Are we going to hit 9%?
So,
I mean, obviously you don't know. I'm
Of
not
course,
holding
of
your feet
course.
to the fire on anything, but based on the trend of what you're
Mhm.
seeing now heading into winter, what are your thoughts on that?
So we got some big data last week in the form of the jobs numbers, right? So what the Fed has been saying is they are hyper focused on jobs and job creations and wages and things of that nature to essentially drive inflation down. So last week we had the ADP and the BLS jobs reports. They actually came in lower than expected. So they expected there to be over 150,000 new job creations across the United States. It actually came in, decently lower than that, meaning there aren't a lot of new jobs going out, going out there, and the unemployment rate actually went up to 3.9%.
Wow.
The reason why that's important is because every single time that we've seen an increase of 0.5% or greater from the expansion low, which happened for us in April of this year, there has always in history back to the 40s been a recession that followed. Even sometimes when they came to this realization, they were already in a recession. So what that means for mortgage rates is mortgage rates always go down during recessions. The reason being is because the only tool that they have to stimulate the economy is lowering interest rates and purchasing things like mortgage-backed securities.
Mhm.
That's why to slow inflation, what have they been doing? They've been drastically raising interest rates and selling off their mortgage-backed security holding, which has driven mortgage interest rates up.
Well, and it's
So-
interest rates across the board. I mean, look
Absolutely.
at auto loan
Oh.
interest rates,
Oh, yeah.
credit card
Oh, yeah.
interest rates, any type of loan, personal loan interest rates. It's not just mortgages.
Well, you ever want to feel better about the mortgage rates, look at all those other rates.
Yeah. Go try to buy
Yeah.
a car.
Yeah, you're going to see double-digit interest rates on those right
So-
now.
Yeah. No, seriously though, don't go try to buy a car before you close on your home loan because it could screw up your mortgage. But yeah, just look into what auto loans are. I've got a friend that's a sales manager at a Toyota store, and I was talking to him last week. I think he said they're somewhere around like 9%. Is like a good rate for auto. Shoot, I remember when auto loans were, we were at
3%.
gosh, yeah. I mean, not a subsidized rate was like 3.5%, 4% was decent for an auto loan. So now let's dive in. You talked about recession.
Mm-hmm.
There's another article here. It says 64% of Americans would welcome a recession if it meant lower mortgage rates.
So
That's very interesting.
And what does that say to you if we actually get a recession as far as getting lower mortgage rates? 64% of Americans are more likely to go out and actually buy a home or want to buy a home.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that say about buying a home now before a recession hits? What happens with homes when demand goes up and supply remains the same?
You have bidding wars.
You actually, home values go up, home prices go up.
And then that's what drives prices up.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
yeah, this article saying 64% of Americans say they are ready for a recession. Personally, I feel like we're in a recession already. If they are better able to afford to buy a home, according to a study conducted by Harris Poll on behalf of Credit Karma. So basically, the people that were surveyed says, yeah, that's fine. We'll be in a recession if that means we can get lower mortgage rates.
And I think it's really important if you do have high interest debt that you are possibly falling behind on, definitely look into different options. If you do own a home and you do want to leverage it because you have a lot of equity in it, as far as maybe getting a home equity line of credit or a close-ended second mortgage while you're keeping the first mortgage with the low interest rate that you have. So definitely don't allow yourself to fall behind and limit your options by not making a payment on time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Another thing a lot of people don't think about is the way most buyers are thinking right now, and the ones that I talk to are saying, like, I want to wait until rates come down. The reason they want to wait until rates come down is because they think that their mortgage payment's going to be less. Well, that would be true if the mortgage rates come down, but prices stay the same, right? So if you were going to finance the same, let's go back to what was the average in Prescott. Let's just go back to that real quick. Here,
494, was it 592?
We were 592. So if you're going to take out, it's not a mortgage of 592 because you're not financing 100%. But let's say what you're doing a 550 mortgage, just for round numbers,
Okay.
right? So let's say you're taking out a mortgage at 550, or that's your
Principal balance.
principal balance. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. If that's your principal balance today and rates are at, if Travis can get you, a 7, 7.5, 7, if he can get you 7 with buying a couple points down, getting the rate down a little bit, using some seller concessions for that, your payment, I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be, just say X, right? It'll be like this level right here, which it's probably higher than what you're going to want, but when rates do come down, you can refinance that in a year from now.
Yep.
If rates come down in a year from now, you can refinance that and you would drop your monthly payment, but your principal stays the same.
Your entry level remained the same when you bought the house, right?
Exactly. Your entry level level loan amount doesn't change when you refinance it, unless you're doing a cash out refinance. Correct. That's a different scenario though. We're talking strictly refinancing and not pulling cash out. That's scenario 1, right? Scenario 2 is, I just want to wait till rates go down. Okay, fine. You wait for 6 months. Say rates do come down in 6 months or a year from now. Let's go back to the year from now. Let's say a year from now, you're going to rent today sign a 12-month lease today instead of buying today. Well, in 12 months from now, let's say we do fall into a recession and rates go down and we're at 5.5% in a year from, I think that's a stretch, but let's just go with that narrative, right? We're at 5.5% a year from today. So November of 2024, 5.5%. Well, all those people that were waiting jumped into the market, drove the prices up. So now you might be able to take out a mortgage at a lower rate, but that median price of 592, it's probably going to be closer to 640, maybe 650. So then you're financing an extra, 50 grand, 40 grand, depending. After your down payment stuff, you're financing an extra 40 to 50 grand at that 5.5% rate. And then that person that bought now refinances down to 5.5, and then they're sitting with a mortgage of after a year, 540, paying it down some, principal down, 540 at 5.5% for the same house as next year, waiting a year, pulling out a brand new mortgage at 5.5%, but then now owing 610, 620 on a principal.
So essentially you would lose $60,000 in equity just because of an interest rate that you could have gone down in a year anyway, but you only get one opportunity at an entry point.
Yep.
And that's why I would consider, if it's feasible for you, of course. If it's not feasible to buy a home right now, don't. If you want to buy a home right now, but your dream home you can't afford right now, I honestly do suggest getting into home ownership right now, because you have the opportunity to gain equity. If you do want to get a nicer home down the road when rates go down that you can then afford, you're going to be able to sell that home and leverage that towards purchasing a nicer home versus just waiting, paying rent. The interest rate on rent is 100%. I love that. I love when the first time I heard that interest rate on rent is 100%.
Yeah.
But it's always better to own real estate than to not. It's just a historic proven fact.
Yep. Another question too that I should have asked a little bit ago was, okay, Travis, which one's going to have a lower mortgage at 5.5%? The buyer who refinances and only has a note of 540, or the new homeowner who just bought and has a note of 610? Ready, go.
540. Bada bing.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Oh yeah.
So something to think about. Like Travis said, don't put yourself in a pinch, in a pickle, if you cannot monthly afford the payments as they are now with today's rates. The last thing we ever want to advise is for you to go broke or go bankrupt, and that's not something that we're ever going to advise you to do, right? So so on that note, let's jump in to the next one. This one's a fun, scary headline grabber. Let's see, and let's jump back into, bam. Housing market looks like a bubble, 2008 regulator says. Dun, dun, dun. They had to throw in 2008 regulator to make you think the title is saying it's a housing bubble like 2008, right? It's a word play there, but let's just say going back to 2008, this doesn't compare. How does this not compare?
This doesn't compare because of for one, there is not a lot of bad mortgages happening. People aren't doing negative amortizing, interest only. People were getting into mortgages that they could never afford from the get-go. and they weren't required to get qualified the way that we are required to qualify people now. And that's why also there's not near the amount of foreclosures. The other thing as well is homes were being built at a way higher pace than they are today. They were building upwards of 4 million homes a year.
Yeah.
And this year, nationwide, it looks like they're building right around 1 million this year is what they're estimating will be completed.
Mhm.
But the other thing too is the annual rate of household formations, meaning people who would be in the market to buy a house, is 1.5 million a year. So they're building 1 million homes a year. There's 1.5 million household formations.
Shortage.
There's a shortage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So,
Yep. Sorry. Please.
No, you're good. I was just going to say basic supply and demand,
Mhm.
you learn in economics in high school or, wherever you go to school at. What happens when demand exceeds supply?
Prices go up.
Demand's here.
Mm-hmm.
There's only this many houses.
Yep.
A
lot more. There's a lot less options for every person. So typically bidding wars, things like that. Like,
Yep.
There's not enough houses. And that's just the truth of it.
It's like Walmart on a Black Friday.
Oh,
getting that $300 TV.
Oh, yeah, man.
It's only so many TVs to go around.
It was worth the bruises, man. It was worth it. Worth it.
Oh, man. So anyways, back to the article. So yeah, that's the main difference between now and 2008 is where we are actually at in supply. Back in 2008, there was a ton of supply. Also, there's a bunch of bad loans being written back then. There was a lot of legislature that changed the lending regulations and requirements and restrictions back then. So now the loans that are being written today, I can't speak on that from personal. Travis is more of the expert on that, but
yeah, we're not doing bad loans at all. And then the other big difference, in my opinion, is the amount of equity that people have in their homes. People are not.
Great point.
People are not. Back in 2008, people would realize that their home was not worth what they owed on it, even if they had the ability to. Versus now, people will let other things go, like their credit card payment or a personal loan payment. But they have so much equity in their house, they can sell their house. They're not going to just say, I'm done paying this, I'm going to walk away from it and lose all this equity that people have built.
Yep.
So that's huge difference.
No, yeah, that is a huge difference. And that's a great point. So that's something that we can help you with. If you are finding yourself right now in an unfortunate financial situation where you're not able to make your credit card payments or you're missing car payments, but you do have equity in your home, please do not miss your mortgage payments. For one, and for two, contact me. I can sit down with you. I can let you know how we can unlock some of that equity for you. Travis might be able to do a refinance. That might be an option. So you can pull some of that equity out of your home to pay off your auto loan, or pay off some of that credit card debt, or we could possibly sell your home to unlock all of the equity. Because if you do a cash out refi, you're only limited to taking out so much of your equity. So if you need all of it, we definitely can help you with that. I can consult with you on how we can sell your home to unlock your equity. Like I said, pay off your auto loans, pay off your credit card debt, and then use some of that money to put in a down payment and find you another house that you then can purchase and put you in a better financial position today, or tomorrow, or, after we do this, typically it's a 2-month process, but so in 60 days from now, have you in a better financial position to where your total outgoing monthly expenses are less because we've reduced your credit card payments and your auto loans. So I'm dead serious. If that's something that we can assist you with, please reach out to us. Our contact information has been scrolling below.
And also don't let your ego get in the way of doing things that can help you. Sometimes we feel embarrassed if we fall behind on things, and then we find ourselves in a negative snowball like that, where you say like, well, because I fell behind on this, I am too embarrassed to reach out to somebody and actually do the right things that can actually help my situation. Neither of us are judgmental people. And I'm sure that, I can speak for myself when I say that in my life, I've been in different financial situations that, sometimes it was really hard. And so there is no judgment.
Yep. Same. And confidentiality is key with us as well. So if you do decide to consult with us, whether we move forward with doing something or not, you can have peace of mind knowing that conversation is confidential and is not going to leave the room. Let's go on. We've got a couple more to hit. Let me pull it up on the screen. This is a fun one, especially here in Prescott. The housing winter arrives. early as existing home sales crash to Great Recession levels and the long feared deep freeze sets in. Dun, dun, dun. Houses aren't selling anymore. Run for the hills. Lock yourself in your basement.
I don't know how we have jobs right now. If that's a reality, we both would not be on here right now. We would have to be doing something else.
That's so, man. I'm going to go back to the stats. And the reason I did the stats at the beginning is because I'm going to go back to them. So looking back at Prescott for last month, Prescott area, these are the number of new homeowners in our area. And yeah, it has fallen a little bit from last year, but the winter, the crash, what other words were they using? Great Recession levels. That's not a reality here in our area.
And especially if you look at Dewey Humboldt, for example, yes, 34% is a big number, but in reality, that's like maybe six home buyers. You know what I mean? Like literally.
Yeah,
like
19. Yep. So
don't let the percentage fool you on that one.
Yeah. So don't let these big scary headlines fool you. Obviously, they're hand selecting certain specific markets across the country so that way they can get away with using headlines like this and say this is not false, this is true. And let's see. I don't even know. Oh, it won't even tell me because I have to pay for the article. So
for a long, hot summer.
Yeah,
after a mortgage rates pre-power. Yeah, honestly, it's interesting because they're going to probably end up pinpointing on how sales have gone down month over month for different areas, which is very typical in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Their sales typically do go down in the wintertime. It's just, the nature of it. There's a lot of different holidays. The weather isn't ideal. Maybe people are moving to or want to move to a different state and they want to actually go and visit when the weather's a little bit better. So it's very, very typical in going into the winter months for things to start slowing down a little bit as far as real estate goes. That's why I personally have always bought homes in the wintertime because I figured I would have less competition.
Yeah, we bought our home in January.
Exactly.
So
in less yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well,
there was a lot of competition.
There was a lot of competition in early last year. 2022, there was a lot of competition. We got the third house that we put a bid in on because we got beat out on the first two. Wasn't due to my negotiation skills. I'll just share a little bit of personal information. We were relying on the sale of our current house in order to buy a new house. And anytime there's multiple offers and there's a buyer that has that scenario, typically the sellers and the sellers agents pick up that file, go like this, and go, boop, sorry. Let's look at the ones who don't need to sell a property first. So, and I was just in that situation where I needed to unlock the equity, like we talked about earlier, in my home that I had at that time to pay off an auto loan and to put money down towards our new property. So I can speak at that from firsthand experience. So going back to the article we talked about earlier about the housing market looks like a bubble, 2008 regulator says. I actually have the chart up that I want to share with y'all. On U.S. properties with foreclosure filings. And this is a graph over time, right? So look at 2008. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Yeah, you can right here. Look how high that was. Over 900,000 homes. Boom. I mean, even go back before then, we were looking at 2006 had just peaked over 200,000 and then it just sharply inclined. If we look at where we're at today, we are still almost below. Well, no, yeah, COVID was there. So we are still technically below pre-COVID levels.
Yeah. And that means that a lot of the folks who did buy, like I was saying before, they don't want to lose that equity.
Yep.
And because of all the different things out there that protect homeowners, I mean, there's always different things that can be done. And there's a lot of misconceptions. Hey, mortgage companies do not want your house. Banks do not want your house. It's just, we will work with people who fall behind. My servicing department has worked with folks who've fallen over 9 months behind on payments. They did a new payment plan. They worked it out. They got some loan counseling. We don't want the house. So you're not going to see that rate go up too high, to be honest with you, in my opinion.
Yep. So that's, that concludes our series of going over headlines, right? So as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Our information has been scrolling below. Again, Travis Smart, lender with Guild Mortgage. My name is Brent Wofford. I'm Arizona's Rad Realtor, local realtor here in Prescott with Keller Williams Arizona Realty. And we want to give a shout out to James Miles. James, good morning. Thank you for tuning in today and watching the show. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Hey, happy birthday to my daughter Brenley. She turned 11 today, so happy birthday to her. And
That's awesome.
Hope everybody has an amazing Tuesday. And if you have any questions, don't consult Google. That's like WebMD for real estate. Consult a professional.
Oh man,
like Brent or myself. Make it a great day, everybody.